Good morning, peoples. Back at you with KURV ETF income funds. I've done a lot on KURV over time. So, as you guys probably recall, KURV is now paying weekly. They're not labeling them as groups, but essentially they did the same thing as YieldMax. These funds are still earning their dividend over a month. They're just creating a couple of funds, sort of like the Mag 7. Think of it that way. They have TSLP, their Tesla income fund, paying by itself. Then they have this week AMZ and Microsoft, right? The two funds. Then they have two funds next week, Apple and Google, and then they have Netflix, along with their KQQQ. It's Tech Titans. So it's not an inverse, it's just a grouping of some NASDAQ QQQ type companies that pay. So and they call it their Tech Titans. If you want to go out and check that out on the website. Actually, what I'll do is I'll include it next week. I didn't get it done today, but I'll put what it holds in that. But let's jump in here. So that's why instead of calling them Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, right? But think of it that way because it really is that same chronology, right? They're breaking it into four different pay groups, with one group only having one fund and the next three having a pair, and then it just repeats itself, right? So you have all these March payouts across. Um, so let's jump in. Last week we had $1 paid by Tesla. What I added, and I like to do this in all instances, okay, what was the price on the day before, right? The day before declaration, which in this case it's the closing on the 10th, all right, that gives us um, the 11th, and then you have to buy on that date on declaration. These guys are a day early, I think, than YieldMax and Roundhill. And then what I did in addition is go down here and say, what was the change amount? Obviously, yield is important, right? So this week we have a 65-cent payout by AMZ, okay, which would be the YieldMax one, and MSFO, which would be the Microsoft to account. But these are 65 and 25, with one fund dropping from last week 19 cents and 8 cents this week. I'm literally doing these on the weekly. I know they don't pay until the monthly, so give me your thought on that. I kind of like just seeing how they've trended over a week, but in some fairness, they're only paying once a month. So just like Tesla is paying on 2/4, and the next time the Tesla income fund at KURV, which is TSLP, is declaring on 3/4, it declared on 2/4. So maybe the week isn't the best idea, but there's so much other data that's longer. Sometimes I like the short term, so that's what I grabbed here, the week before they pay. But the reality is what has transpired for the payment, it's been a month. So give me feedback. I think I'm going to go to the month. All right, so let's go take a look at how Amazon, it paid 65 cents, 25.41% yield. Let's go take a look at how their Amazon has been paying. So in January of 2025, it paid 70 cents. All right, so we just had a 65. And then in December, sorry, a 70, we had a 65. It had a 75. Then it had a 64. Then it had a 37, a 37, a 36. 32. So I think in some fairness, Amazon is one that YieldMax typically total return is just a hair better than Amazon than the AMZP of curve. So what I'm saying is a lot of times when you go to the history, they win on that one. This one is depends on, I think this is 3 months, one of these is 6 months. Um, so I varied them in what they're showing in their time frames, but it is one that's won sometimes by Yielmax, whereas TSLP, I've never seen it not outperform Yielmax in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months in what we call total return, right? Which is what's the NAV difference, what's the price difference from the fund in the beginning and the end of the period, and then you add up all the dividends and figure out what's it paying based on what the starting price was, right? So, and it almost Curve does a better job because they don't lose in the NAV, but the few of the big payers like so in this case, Yiomax almost always wins MSFO, right? Um, over Curve. And you can see that it's things like, okay, well, Curve had only it for its nav only had a 2 minus, and Yiomax had 8. Now, is that distribution? I don't know if I labeled this what I wanted to see here. All right, I don't want to get lost in that. Let me make sure I go over what I want to go over with you guys. Um, and that is the Amazon previous price. Let's jump here to the weekly. So then we had 25 cents for MSFY. Now, what makes it hard to go compare these groups? There are different dates in the groups in Yielmax. So that's why you pull all the data and you just run it over 6 months and you compare it that way. Most of my old comparisons, they were all monthly, so it didn't really matter which week group they were in. And it really doesn't matter when you analyze the data. But let's go look at the 25 cents that MSFY for Curve paid, and let's see how that stands out. That is probably about average. Um, Here's a 40 cent distribution. Here's a 30 cent distribution. So down a little bit, right? Let's go back. There is a 31 cent. That's about where we are. 33 cents, 34, 34. No, what did I say? 25. So that's pretty under. Let's see if we can go back and find one. A 30, there's a 28, a 27, a 27. There's a 20. Oh, okay, so here's a February payment. Oh, we're in February, right? So we had a 22 and a 26, and here we are paying 25. So maybe it's a February thing, guys. Volatility in the markets, I'm not sure. All right, I will continue this and then I'll have more data to do it. And I think I'm going to switch these to going to whatever the declaration in the previous time, right, that they did. So I'll make these a month. Right now, they're only a week. So two of them are down and one of them is up. All right, guys, I got more stuff to get out to you. This is Curve with their new groupings of a couple of funds. This week was AM's Amazon and Microsoft, and you can see a 25.41 yield, a 13.22 yield. One was 65 cents and one was 25 cents. All right, guys, and then you can see what the price was. All right, guys, this is Bruce, not a financial advisor. This is not financial education. This is for fun and entertainment only. See you guys. Bye for now.